Hello, legends and super legends. Eldred here. This is what it takes. You want to be good at something, you got to prepare. You got to get enough rest. So I started my day at 4:50 this morning, and I'm ready to roll. And I'm going to pick up Paul at our ride meeting, and then we're going to ride out to the woodlands. So I just wanted to do the prologue a little differently this morning. And I will take some additional clips when I pick up Paul. But I just wanted you guys to know that you've got to get up early. You got to go to bed early so you can get up early to get your Ks in. So you're prepared, so you're not rushing. Preparation is the key.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We headed out to the woodlands to pick up Team RR. Mo ended up joining. Max was there. It was a really good group. The pace was very interesting. I think you will like the clips. We went down Honia Egypt Road, went up to Raven Chapel, South Pine, 2854. At the store, the group was not going further out, so Paul and I took Bailey Grove there, went up Bethel through the forest. We went across 149 and took a little loop by a little church, a little bypass. We came down 149 to Hidden Forest Road, Mount Pleasant Road, back to 1097. When we got back to Montgomery, we refilled our bottles and met a rider called Austin who rides with Mo in them. And we rode together with him using Jackson Road into Karen on 149, where we met Jerry and Fabian and them. We rode with Austin on 1488. By the time we got back to the woodlands, we hooked up with Jerry and we rode into Sterling Ridge. Jerry rode with us to Creekside. We did some extra loop because he wanted to get additional kilometers. And so Paul left his truck at the school and went and rode home to get extra Ks and picked up his truck later. I think you will love the clips.
5:47 a.m. I'm hoping. We're in the parking lot at Kleinold High School. Paul's got his light on. I got my light on.
Our clip-in time is 5:50.
Sunrise. It's beautiful. Is there a better way to start the day? I don't think so.
The sun comes up around 6 o'clock thereabout.
Yep.
This camera settings are not for low light.
This is how you start the day. It's on the upside from here. And look at that beautiful hill. What a way to bring in the morning, guys and girls. We're still warming up. The warm-up is critical. So the harder you're gonna ride, the more intense the warm-up should be. That 20-minute warm-up is like a workout. You do it repeatedly, works you out.
I find that I need about 15 to 20 miles to really warm up.
So I want you guys to get Paul's kit. I like that pink.
Kind of want to bring the pink in the jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, the strings on Paul's shoes are coral. They look pink in the morning, but later in the day it look like it's a coral color. It comes with the black and white shoe. They send two sets of strings.
So when you're warming up, don't kill yourself. This is a hill. Nothing to get excited about. You have a derailleur. Use it. As the French said, derailleur. I said that on one video, guys. I love the way you call it. The derailleur. Derail the chain. Why you gotta kill yourself?
Use your gears. You don't need to hammer every hill.
Man, I came out here on one ride this week, lunchtime. Big mistake. It was hot. I poured water all over me.
What time was that?
11:30. It was hot. 11:30 to 1:30. That's the time I could get away, you know. It was hot. I had my jersey drenched. Got through it though. The key was I poured water all over me. I wanted to get your kit, because we don't get you that often. Yeah.
Yeah, all about business.
Taking care of business. I hope this comes out. We got enough light, I think. Got enough light. La Pasión today.
That's the La Pasión kit. Matching socks, Just look the business. Nicely done.
The socks are close. It's hard to get a perfect match with what they're recommending.
Yeah.
I was gonna do white gloves. I said, that's too much white. Bit cheesy.
Look at those pockets on the back.
Yeah, that's the way.
Nice and tight. Want to get close to the fabric so they can see how it looks on the back.
And when you have a good fit, you can ride a hill like this. Okay?
Yeah.
You can't do that. Don't blame everybody.
That confirms your balance on the bicycle.
I need weight on the bars to ride.
You should not have any weight on your bars. You just guide it with your hands. So if your hands are going numb, you need to get your fit checked out. Be able to put
That's
more
what you're
power
gonna do
through
on
the
a
bike.
Saturday.
What else is there to do? It is Saturday. Yeah, we have arrived. It is about 6:33 Central Daylight Time, and we have arrived at the shopping center, the Alden Bridge Village Center, to pick up Team II.
So I've been riding for about an hour as I started at 5:30
The
something.
humidity gets that wheel for some reason. I
Before I
cleaned it
picked up
many times. Yeah, I cleaned it plenty and still. Go
Yeah, my
left.
brakes are squealing, the humidity gets to them a little bit, and then after a little while they get quiet.
This is where we meet the boys. It's a Chick-fil-A right there. Kroger on the other side. So you can shop for groceries if you want. Chick-fil-A. There's a coffee place here too. There they are over there.
We meet at a place called Crust Pizza right next to the Kroger grocery store there. That's where they start their rides.
And you have to look the business. Otherwise, what's the point? When you look good, you feel good.
You ride good.
You ride great. Exactly. There you go. When you look good, you feel good, you ride good.
So when we show up, I end up greeting everybody in French. I'm not sure why I did that. It's just kind of rolled out. The bonjour, mes amis.
Bonjour. Mes amis. Ça va? Comment ça va?
Then they asked me about the vacation to Six Flags.
Boys ready to ride? Let's do this.
No, we're gonna sit around and talk about what we're gonna do.
It was overpriced. $7 for Coke. I'm talking about, I felt like I was mugged. Six Flags. They'll charge you for the air if they could. The kids had fun. I don't do that. I got on the roller coaster, it swung me around, slammed me, made me want to throw up. That's about it. That's not my cup of tea. Not my
Yeah,
thing.
I don't do roller
But it was fun.
coasters. That's not my thing.
How you doing?
That's Tim Vibrock. This is
Lulo. Eldred, nice to meet you, Lulo.
Lulo.
Yeah, Bob,
And that's
how you
Bob
doing?
Merrill there.
Abby, how you doing? I know you.
That's Abby in the white
boys are
helmet.
here. Let's do
He
this.
rode with us today. He
What you guys
had
wanna
flat
do
with
today?
Mo's group. He usually ride with Mo's group. So I'm trying to get these guys so we can go.
can
Because
talk
everybody's
and
standing
ride.
around. I told us that we can talk and ride. In a little bit, you will see Mo show up. And he looks at us like, is this the
Guys,
right
what you
group?
doing today? Davis, how you doing?
You'll see it. It was classic. This is Davis.
How are we getting there?
There's Mark on the left. They wanted to do Fish Creek, so I suggested Honia, Egypt.
Fish Creek or Honia, Egypt? I like Honia, Egypt.
You like Honia, Egypt?
At this time of day, I think
It's
it's probably
beautiful.
fine.
Yeah, we did Fish Creek last time.
Sketchy coming on a little bit later.
So David says she likes Honia, Egypt when it's early. Yeah, it's quieter. And, coming back in the afternoon is a little busier, but yeah.
Yeah, Honia, Egypt is more fun. So you guys can break away, we can film you.
And so Mark letting everybody know, and then there's Mo. Mo looks at us, and then he looks away, and he keeps going like, you guys are not the group. You're supposed to be gone. You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, but the point is we're supposed to be going. He's like, what's the deal? Let's go, let's do this.
And that was classic. He looked at us and looked away like, nah, I'm seeing
Mo's like,
things.
come on, guys. He's looking, he's like, okay.
Oh,
That's
man.
funny.
That was classic.
That was classic, Mo.
He's
That
like,
was classic.
I'm seeing things. You guys are supposed to be
like,
down the
you know,
road.
It's 6:37. You're 7 minutes in the hole.
Now rush now, like.
So he said he rushed over, then he rides over.
That's funny.
He rushed over thinking
funny.
he's late and we're standing there. He's like looking at us like, nah, this is the wrong group. That was funny. So it was good to see Topo this morning. Maurizio Topini. It's always a breath of fresh air. We had originally planned to not film the warm-up. I told Paul, I said, no, we got to film.
more, so we can't turn this on. We got to film more. We got to get more.
That's what I told him.
Got it. It's a nice plan, man.
So when Mo graces us with his presence, we make the necessary changes and we add to the documentary. Because Topo is here. I just told him that we're gonna do Honia Egypt. Thank me, just to let him know what the route was. He ended up staying with us till we got to almost 105, and then he said he was just gonna keep riding, wasn't gonna stop. He needed to get back early, that's why he was doing this ride. The guy on the right is called Abby. Abby was the one that had the flat maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago when we rode with Mo and them. The welcome flat, let's put it that way. And so he's here. He used to ride with these guys many years ago. I found out from Paulie Londa. Abby had told him that. That's Bob Merrill on the right there. That's Maurice on the far right. And that's Mark next to Abby there. And we're on the road. I'm using the road. Those guys are chatting on the shoulder, you know, so it's okay. But they'll have to come over at every intersection. The shoulder kind of gets to a choke point. So there's Max back there in the middle. That's Victor on the right. I didn't get the name of the gentleman with the E jersey behind Paul there. That's Davis in the Chartreuse jersey. So we had a good sized group today. There are a couple of riders up ahead. There's Lilo up there. I got to meet him for the first time today. I think he's Italian or Spanish. He has one of the, I could tell by his accent. He's either Italian or an Italian or a Spaniard or something like that. He has that Latin-based accent. A lot of those languages are Latin-based, originally. And English borrows a lot from other languages. Some of the words come right over to the same spelling, just drop the accent. So Mo drifted back. You know, he checked for traffic before he did that. He's talking to Victor back there. There's Max.
Hey, how are you, Max? Good.
Didn't get the name of the gentleman in the Savello kit there. So I spin up to Abbey because I haven't chatted with him. I told him I liked his jersey. He had a Bible verse on his jersey. I thought that was kind of cool. And so we started to chat. It's always good to meet new people on the rides. You know, I mean, I know a lot of these other guys. Don't just feel like you have to stick to the people you see on every ride. Make the new faces feel welcome. Go over, say hi, you know. You'd be surprised you might have something in common with them. So Abby and I are just talking. I'm spinning a lot more than I normally do here because my legs are a bit lagging, you know, with all the time off. And so I'm cheating by using my aerobic system more. Probably spending like a 39, 17 or 16, something like that. 62, 65 inch gear. Nothing small. We just thought, I don't remember what all we're talking about, but the conversation just flowed. Once I told him I liked his jersey, it just worked its way. It was easy to talk to Abby. In a short while, I think after this little downhill, I'll spin up to verify Lilo's name, just to make sure that I register it. Whenever I meet somebody new, I always like to repeat their name because it's easier to remember by saying it. It's just a habit. So at this point, I'm like, is it Lilu? So I wasn't really sure. And I walked over, but I had it right. Lilo. He says his nickname. I got a lot of compliments on this kit, and I think it's just the way I put it together. The turquoise and the cyan, and then the helmet, my glasses, then the bike, all in the scheme of that blue. That's what a lot of people were talking about, and I made a joke. I told them that's the Italian in me. Abby was like, "Oh, I think your wife helped." I said, "Nope, this was all me."
And then from there to Taco Corner. Right. And then they will decide.
And Paul's letting Max know what the initial route is. Max showed up after we had discussed it. So I think right here I think Abby and I get through chatting, and then I just spin up to Lilo there. Somewhere around. Yeah, right there. I spin up to Lilo and verify that I got his name right. And he confirmed it. I think the compliments for this kit I was wearing were probably due to just the accessories, the combination that worked, and the bike and everything. You can't match your bike all the time. It's not practical. But it was just the pieces. Because as we turned, both Abby, Max on the right, and Lilo started to talk about it. And when we get to the light, we chat about it. I tell Lilo, I said, well, that's the Italian in me, Because the Italians don't play when it comes to style. Mo's back there chatting with Victor and Davis. This ride ended up being faster than I had expected. Even Mo made the comment when we get to the Honia area. He said, well, that was a nice brisk pace on Honia Egypt. There's something about Honia Egypt that makes you want to ride. This is Abby telling me about the kid. And he said, your wife must have helped you. I said, no, it's all me. And then Lilo also chimes in. I think that's where I tell them, I said, it's the Italian in me. I told them, well, thanks guys, because I planned this kit the entire week. It took the whole week to put it together. I'm letting them know it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's not a fluke. I said, I play my kits. So that was cool.
You selected the bike.
Yeah, Paul's probably talking with Max, because even Max asked me, it's like, oh, you got, I said, yeah, I brought the blue one because it went with it. I got an orange, blue, and red and white, so it'll match something every now and then. So that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a kid, and I was telling them it's La Pasión, and then Lilo said, yeah, the passion, and I told him, yep, you're right. But I did the cyan jersey with the navy blue Rafa short that I have, and I did the navy blue La Pasión gloves. The navy blue is so close to being black, So that's what Max and I are talking about. He's saying that he liked the color because it really stands out. And I told him, I said, yeah, that's one thing I like about La Pasión. They have interesting colors from season to season. That's what we're chatting about, you know, different kids for the different seasons.
Fish Creek? Not Fish Creek, the other side.
I think Paul meant Creekside. Paul said he saw Abby and Trini on Creekside. That's what they're talking about. Paul was out spinning and he saw Abby. Creekside is a good place to do a loop because you can ride for at least 5 miles. You don't have too many intersections. So the exercise potential is decent. And it's not that far out. So when I'm pressed for time, sometimes I go out there and spin around. Or if I'm verifying some kind of new piece of equipment I've set up. Get a new pair of shoes or something, I want to just try it out before I do a very long ride in it.
Yeah, it's just around 259.
Yeah. Well, we rode together briefly in, was it right? We went to the Golden Guys.
Yeah.
And I think we went on 249 and went up
1488.
1488.
Yes.
I think we had 2 flats or something.
Yes. Yeah.
I was so glad for this flat.
There was not a whole lot of lagging around on this ride. The warm-up had a decent clip to it, and then we get on Honia Egypt and we just started the ride. And we ended up starting 2 abreast on Honia Egypt. We used up the whole lane. It's early in the morning on that road. There's not a whole lot of traffic going north, even during the week. It's always quiet. So Mo had mentioned when we got on Honia Egypt, he said, oh, there's a nice brisk pace. And so I said, I think it's the tailwind. And so he tilted his head like he was looking for the tailwind. There wasn't a whole lot of wind, but I kind of knew what he meant. That's Mo. Topo joins the group this week. Maurizio Topini. So he tilted his head, and I was like, this guy should have been a comedian on the side. It made me laugh. He was like, basically he didn't have to speak. His actions indicated, I don't see much wind. And he said that he believed that people were just excited because of the nice size of the group. It was a good workout in this ride. I really enjoyed the ride on Saturday. And that's what I said. You can do the same course all the time. It's the company that makes the ride. So we had a good group, energetic. And Mo was there, of course, to lift things up as usual. So very enjoyable ride. This is 2854. On the map, it's called Fish Creek. It's also known as FM 2978, but it's also known as Honia Egypt here. But Honia Egypt officially is on the left where we're headed. It's called Honia Egypt Community Road in this section. So there have several names. And then Fish Creek here, which is known as Honia Egypt right here. If you go straight, it becomes Fish Creek Thoroughfare. It has different names depending on where you are. So we turn on Honia Egypt Community Road here. It's one of my favorite roads. There's something about it. You get on this road, you want to ride. It motivates you. So I drift back to chat with Paul here. I was telling him, I said, everybody's got something to say about my kit this morning. Because usually people don't say anything, It was unusual. And Paul believes it was the color combination and all of that just worked well. It's a nice color.
It's all bad.
So Abby said, your wife helped? I said, nope. All me.
But said, I wish I could coordinate colors like that.
Paul said somebody said to him that they wish they could coordinate colors like that. Yeah, sometimes it's hard. You just have to look at it and see what is something you like. I put them together and I hang them up and put them in front of the mirror and look at it and see how it blends.
A radio or a tube?
Yeah, Paul has a tube in his Rafa radio pocket, and he said Mo asked him if it was a radio or a tube. Mo notices everything. And that's what it takes. You have to be attentive, pay attention, you know. Mo's always checking on everybody in the group when he rides. So even though there were cars back on this road here who were riding two abreast, I mean, you know, it's legal. They were very patient. It's early in the morning. You can see. Oh, okay, I'm waving that guy over to go by because we can see that it's safe in front. Especially in the curves, you can see before the drivers themselves can see. So whenever possible, I wave them by. It's okay for your group to ride like this. This is legal. But this is not the time to be doing 12 miles an hour and chatting. You know, you can see we're moving at a good clip, 22, 23, whatever. You need to be riding. You know, it's not a quiet neighborhood road. You want to be moving. If you want to chat, it's better to do it on quieter roads so you don't appear to be intentionally impeding traffic. I'm behind Paul at this point, I believe. And in a little while, then when we go down the hill, yeah, I'm behind him because his rear shot when I waved that car back showed that. But once we go down the hill, I go ahead and move in front of him. I want to make sure I'm in the clip so when I synchronize, it synchronizes to my head unit so I can spot my image in the frame and link it to the software to tell the location on GPS so it can calculate all the metrics you see correctly. You can see you're in the pace line. The people at the front may be pedaling. We don't need to back here. You soft pedal and coast. So we're not doing any work right now. Just enjoying this downhill. In a little while I'm gonna move up. Yeah, there I am. You can see how my shorts are navy blue and the gloves are navy blue. It confirms that it's navy blue versus the bar tape that's black. Sometimes when you have navy blue on, it can look black. And so I wanted to just complement the shorts with those La Pasión gloves, and it worked out well. So even though the speeds are up, because we're sitting in the draft here, for the most part, we're not working hard yet. But in a little bit, it will pick up. You can see Doug is pulling off the front. He was up there pulling with another rider. I think the rider pulls off on the right, which is the proper way to do it. When you're doing two abreast, one person should pull off to the left, one should pull off to the right. In a few kilometers, you will see when it's not done that way, it's a little trickier. You know, both riders ended up pulling up to the left. I just ride through it. That's Scott who was pulling with Doug. So Scott pulled up. So I just ride up. I'm going to ride up to Max's wheel. And Doug's going to stay here with me and just chat. We start to talk about, I think, trip to Dallas and so forth. But Doug knew that we went out there with the kids. And I told him, we talk about it, I said, yeah, I'm not a big roller coaster fan. And I told him, I said, they're not going to see me getting any memberships because they sell memberships to the different parks because they're all over the place in Texas. You can go to San Antonio and different places. So if you buy a membership, you're eligible to go to any park. But I just don't do roller coasters. I didn't care for it. Kids enjoyed it, and that's great, but that's not my cup of tea.
I saw the pictures.
I was on one ride that did a tight loop, and the thing kept yanking my head forward every time, just the forces when it would do the loop. And I was sitting in the front. It felt like the thing was going to jump off the track at any moment. I was like, man, this is supposed to be fun. You know, so I did it once. My daughter wanted to go back. I told her, you're on your own. So her mother took her the second time. So I did the milder rides. I stand up there because the road's bumpy. Saves your wheels, and it's just easier on you and the bike. The bike will bounce over those obstacles when you're off the saddle. So if on a long ride you ride and your feet hurt, you might want to look at your setup again, because your feet are not supposed to hurt too much unless maybe your shoes are a little tight or you're not quite pulling back enough. So you just got a constant pressure on the ball of your feet. And when you do a long ride like 6-7 hours, it can kick in. Even when your fit is good, sometimes if you're not paying attention to how smooth you are, you really have the need to unclip for a few moments and get your foot to wake up. You know, that can happen. But I'm conscious of that, so when I ride, I'm very stingy in how I apply the force to the pedal. I don't like to put the force only when I'm pushing down. I'm mentioning that because this is a good shot of how I ride. If you watch my feet, it's not accidental. I'm consciously working on the phases of the pedal stroke, especially when I stand there. And you will see me stand and just sit with no change in my riding position. The bicycle did not move back. You need to practice those things. I consciously work on that every time I get on the bicycle, being efficient. And you'll see it come to pass because I end up on Mo's wheel. And you know, Mo's not going full gas, but it's still hard. And he's smaller than I am, and Mo can roll himself into the bike. He intentionally actually tries to stay upright to give people a draft. So even then you will see me stay really close to his wheel. He's very easy to follow when he's not surging or anything. So there was just a steady, hard pace. He wasn't surging. It's the surges that break you. And I'm qualifying that so people can know that there are different kinds of effort that affect you differently. So depending on what you're preparing for, you need to make sure your body can tolerate all of that. I will be pointing out certain things for some of our super legends that have asked, especially Wesley Steven asked that I address certain things that I will point out where possible here. When you're riding in the group and the road starts to go up like here, it's gradual. It says 1%, it's probably closer to 2. The key is to pay attention to how you're feeling. Don't feel like you have to go with the person in front of you. If they change the pace to where you feel like you're going to sacrifice your ability to sustain it, let them go. Ride alone. Ride at your pace. I'm sure you've seen where on a long climb, people fall off, then they come back, even the pros. So pace yourself. You don't have to go with everything. I don't consider myself to be a climber. I had to work on climbing to be decent at it. So if I'm climbing and people are better at climbing than I am, I don't have to chase them down. I get my own rhythm and I hold it. So only stay with them if the pace is working for you, especially on a climb, because you don't want to go into oxygen debt on a climb. It's hard to recover. You can lose a lot of time. Unzip the jersey there a little bit. Got a little bit of cooling. This jersey, even though it's lightweight, as you can see, when you put on your bibs and everything, it's not see-through. Somebody had asked about whether they should wear sunblock, and I said that if they're very sensitive, it might be a good idea. But it was not recommended by La Pasión or anything. I don't think it's necessary with this jersey because it's not like it's a sheer jersey. There's some jerseys where you can just see through. This one, no. It's the weave that they use that allows that air to come through. So it has a lot of privacy, if you know what I mean. It's a well-conceived jersey. As I said, you just need a lot of TLC. I had to be extra cautious in how I put the gimbal in the pocket when we weren't filming. Doesn't take much to tear stuff on this jersey. So we got a good pace going here, and everybody's just, most of the people are excited. He said, I think it's just the size of the group. People are excited. So Lilo pulls over. I tell him, come on, as we go by. This is a 5%er here. They may not register on the overlay there, but you can see we're applying the pressure here. Tim's at the front. I'm on Max's wheel. I just put more force into the pedals. I didn't need to move my body or anything. Jerry and I talked about it at the end of this ride because he said that some riders move to the tip, like some of the guys were talking about the riders in the tour, and he said you change the way you use your muscles. And so what I explained to Jerry was, for me, and I don't know if it's just because of the saddles I use, but I told him that when I get in the drops, my hips move, but they roll forward. So I don't have to shift my position. It's almost like I get deeper into the curvature of that saddle when I'm in the drops. I told him, but I don't physically need to move my body on the saddle. There are some riders that will slide to the tip, they call it tipping it, and then move back. Jerry said he moves back when he's climbing, when he's going hard on the climb. The key is that just make sure you're comfortable and you feel like you can drive the pedals without discomfort or pain. So now, if you're coming to a curve, you know how the pros cut the apex of corner. We can't do that here because we're relegated to one lane. So ideally, the road's curving to the left, you would move across the road because it shortens the distance. So to do it in one lane, I would have to have moved where Mo is. And I have a part of the film later on where I show that, where you can try that in one lane. But it's not that big a deal. If you don't have access to the whole road, now if nothing's coming and you're climbing, yeah, you can do that if you have line of sight. This is where this road begins to go up. You can see it now. It starts here and it doesn't let up. It's probably 2 miles or so. It's just going up. You notice even though I'm standing, I'm not sprinting. I'm just keeping my speed the same. You don't need to get excited when you stand because then your heart rate just starts spiking. So Tim's pulling. This is where instead of him pulling off to the right, he pulled off to the left with the other rider. There's another rider, I think it's Abby. Yeah, Abby pulls off. He checked and goes across the yellow line. And then Tim did the same thing. Ideally, it would have been cool if Tim had pulled over to the right like the other guys did. Not the end of the world, but it's just cleaner to do it that way. Right here, we're putting force into the pedals. We're not downshifting much, maybe about 1 cog as the road continues to go up. I think it gets up around 3% thereabouts. But if you watch my body language, I get lower as I go harder. So right here, we start to drive even more. Just watch my body language. Driving more force in the pedal right here. We're going harder. I did not downshift. I just powered the gear. This is when you push. It's not time to spin a baby gear. We're driving it. It said 3%. It was probably 3.5, almost 4. And then it continues. We're still climbing. It's not over yet. My focus was to just keep the same gap on Max's wheel. So Victor comes up here, you know, it's not sustainable. We let Victor do his thing. We just kept riding. Somebody said car up because Victor is close to that yellow line. The power's off right here. You see I'm soft pedaling. I was very surprised that my body performed like it did on this ride because I had like 17 days off in total, split between 4 days of riding 1 week and then 5 days of riding the week after I got back. Just some short rides. So I wasn't sure what my body was going to do, but I had good legs. So the vacation was good. And the way I did it to not be off the entire 19 days or 17 days, I split it up. That made a difference. And you hear Paulie Lunga tell Mo that this is the first time he made it up Leah Drive without feeling like he was dying. He said Leah Drive was giving him a hard time. You hear him tell Mo. So we're still riding here. I thought we were done. You know, Mo got a drink and Max had backed up, but then we're riding to the light here. You will hear Mo say that was a brisk pace. So since Paul was having challenges in the past, he started the preseason plan and it kicked in because he's doing more intensity, structured workouts that got him ready to handle it. So you will hear him tell more.
First time I made it through the hill.
What I'll do is
The what? I think for the first time I made it beyond Leah Drive. I rode all the kills me.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good. That was a spirited tempo. You know, it was not a slow pace.
I look at signs.
Ready? Is it changing? No, it's not changing. This posture. I went to do the triple bypass last week, and man, I tell you what a cool experience. What a cool place.
It'll make a little bit of a difference because.
So he tells Mo the first time on Leah Drive that he, you know, the hill used to give him a challenge in the past, and he was able to ride it better today. So you have to work on your limitations. That's what it's all about. That's what I mean when I say we train, we don't ride. You will see how these other guys will pull off. They will split right and left. And that's what I was talking about earlier. He said that did the triple bypass. We saw it. I saw he posted it on Strava. He did a good time, and he put some pictures out there. Right here, I noticed. I know Mo wants to keep moving. These guys look like they're done pulling. They had pulled us all the way up Leah Drive. So I roll up on Mo's wheel here. Paul is on my wheel. And you have to be attentive because when Mo is going steady, you can get close and relax and follow because he's not surging or anything. But the thing is, you need to get there quickly so you don't have to work too hard to get on this wheel. That way you save your energy. So that's why I moved immediately and I stayed within 3 to 4 inches of his wheel, as you will see for the rest of this. So we're going uphill. He's keeping it steady. It's hard, but it's tolerable. I just go ahead and get into a rhythm because we're going to be riding these hills. This road is a drag. It's a flat, false flat. You can see those guys. Look at the gap. They're going to have to work to come up to us. Mo's not aware. He's just riding. And I'm not aware. I just noticed it in the clips. I'm not looking behind. I basically look under my arm to see to see if there's a tire on my wheel and where it is, left or right. That's all I do. Now it's not the time to be cute, so I stay close. So when you're riding, you concentrate on relaxing. That's all I'm thinking about. Relax your shoulders. Sometimes you have to physically wiggle your shoulders up and down and just relax it. Because it's easy to tense up when the pace quickens. Don't do that. You need to relax your upper body. Let your legs do the work. And breathe. Focus on keeping your rhythm steady. So whether you're riding short, steep climbs or rollers, you need to make sure that you keep your rhythm the same. Don't change it too much. Do what feels good for your body. The assumption is you're prepared for it. Regardless of the distance of what you're doing, you need to prepare for it. When you prepare for it, then psychologically you can relax because you know that physically you're ready. I go in the drops here to get even lower because Mo is very aerodynamic on his bike. And just change the way my muscles are working. So I alternate between the drops and the hoods. But when climbing, I stay on the hoods because I can breathe better. Working here. I'm staying close. That's all I can do is to stay as close as possible to Mo's wheel because he's not even on the drops right now. He's trying to make sure he gives a good draft. But when Mo gets really low and he's going hard, it's even harder. I noticed that he was riding the small chain ring and probably a 13 tooth cog in the rear. I'm pulling my pants down on the back of my thigh. It seemed like they had moved a little bit, and I just kind of slid them down to where they hold their position. But I don't like any bunching up anywhere. That's all I was doing. See, I am sitting in the saddle, not on the back lip. Yeah, Victor comes up alongside. He does that every time the road goes up and so forth, but you will see that he will do it again after we get through this intersection that's coming up. And we don't pay him no mind. We just keep doing what we're doing. Let everybody know that we're slowing. I check right and left. Let everybody know it's clear. There's nothing coming. The left side is a dead end. I took a look behind, I believe, when we got here. I think I looked behind. I don't know if this was where it. Yeah, I think I looked behind and I saw that the guys were kind of spread out back there. But my focus right now is to just stay on Mo's wheel and conserve my energy as much as possible. Because with the time off, I wasn't sure how my body would react, but ended up feeling pretty good. You will hear Paul in about maybe 4 or 5 kilometers tell Mo to take it easy. So if you're following somebody on a situation like this, make sure you keep your pace tolerable for you. Don't go with too many jumps unless you're feeling good. Victor comes on the left and you'll see Mo do exactly what I'm talking about. More seasoned and does not really blink. He just continues to do what we're doing. Because what Victor is doing is not sustainable. We don't lift our pace, we keep it the same. Lilo's on my left. He's following Victor. He's trying to follow Victor anyway. But this is a pace that we can hold. So we just continue. And what we don't do is let up. Right here we've crested that first climb and we shift up. Even on the downhill we're using harder gear. You see the speed? We did not back off. Since I'm in the draft, I'm descending faster, so I don't need to pedal at this moment. The road starts to kick up, we keep the pressure going. Mo is probably in at 13 in the back in a small chain ring. I think he runs a 36 or something, but I noticed that he's spinning a lot. So we go past Victor here because what he was doing he could not maintain. And once again, because I'm in the draft, I'm descending faster, so I go to the left even more. You'll see me go over the yellow line, get ready for the corner, lift my inside pedal, cut across the apex, and I'm right on Mo's wheel. That's how you save your energy. So Paulie Lunga gets back in the draft. So I did not allow much of a gap to open. So on this downhill, I get to display a little bit what I was talking about. If you're riding on the road like you see the pros do, and you want to cut across the apex, the problem is it's an open course. So there might be a car coming the opposite way. You will have to do something close, not as efficient, but in your lane. You see right there? That's where I go. Right near the middle of the road, and it allows me to stay close to Mo because I took that line. Now, ideally, I should have gone across the road, but I didn't want to do that on an open road. If you can see and the visibility is clear, then you can do that, especially if you're climbing. The distance is shorter when you take that line. I'm keeping my cadence between 90 and 100 RPMs, so I'm able to respond to changes in speed. Mo is not surging, he's not attacking, he's just holding a steady, fast pace. It is different than when you have a lot of surges. The surges are harder to deal with, even though this is not exactly super easy. I'm specifying that so you set your expectations. Everything's different. I take a drink, put the bottle back. There is a left turn coming up. So even though we do this route all the time, it's who you do it with that makes it interesting. So this was so different because of the pace we're keeping and how smooth everything was. It is so much easier following an experienced rider. So Mo already signaled, and I'm right there with him. I lean my bike over. He pulls out of the front, off the front. I just keep the tempo going, the same effort. Paul Ilonga tells Mo to take it easy, more laugh. And he stuck his tongue out a little bit, just messing around. He wasn't going very hard, but you know, it's hard for the rest of us. So Doug comes around me. I guess he wanted to go a little faster. So I realized, well, he's going about the same effort I was doing. So I just latched onto his wheel. You're already at the front, stay there. You see Victor coming up on the side there. So what ends up happening now between here and 2854, Doug and Victor are going at it, and I just sit where I am. And every time the road goes up, the effort goes up. You will see that. The road starts to go up here. Victor presses on the pedal, and we go with it. That's Mark trying to bridge up a little bit. That takes a lot of energy to do that. This climb is about 2.5%, maybe 3% at most at this peak. Now it's leveled off a little bit. Up in the distance between those trees, it goes up again. So every time it goes up, we don't back off. This is Max here. That's Kevin on the left with the white helmet and gray jersey. Mo's talking. We're working hard. Mo's having a conversation with somebody. A lot of time when we're going hard and Mo talks to me, I just listen. It takes less energy to listen than to speak. You can hear him. He's chatting back there with somebody. So Victor goes at it again. We told him there was a car up because he's in the middle of the road there. This is Maurice here. So the road goes up again right here. Victor goes again. It goes up and I think it goes to the left. About 4%. This is steep here. And we don't back off. I maintain my position. I did not let any gaps open because my goal here was to save my energy here and to be able to use it on 2854. It took us about 51 minutes, well, maybe 45 minutes to get out here. It was a good, we're moving at a good clip. I think there is one more climb before we start to go on a slight downhill towards the highway. Right up here. This is where everybody sprints. But today we just kind of pedal fast. Let's put it that way. I see Abby on the left. Now, okay, he gets in the paceline. That's taking a lot of energy to be out there. The road starts to go downhill at this point towards the highway. I go ahead and I check. There's nothing coming. The road behind us is quiet. I stay on the left because I want to carry my speed when I get to that intersection. The reason I stay on the left is I'm going to look for any vehicles that's coming. Because I don't, even though I'm going to use the shoulder, I don't want to get on the road at speed in front of a vehicle. It startled some of the drivers. So I check, it's clear. I go ahead and take the shoulder. I'm not on the road. That's why I leaned out. And then this truck appears. He sees the cyclist and he moves over, but I'm on the shoulder and I'm gone. I'm carrying my momentum. So they're a little gapped here. So at this point up there, I'm not really riding that hard. I think I'm riding a sweet spot. And then Doug tells me that they're coming because he asked whether they had stopped. And then he said they were coming. So we just held the pace right here at this effort, knowing that they would catch up. You can see us up there. There's maybe 2 or 3 of us. So we're waiting for them to catch up. Because once they get there, then Doug tells me they're here. Everybody's here. So yeah, it's Kevin, Doug, and myself. I'm in front, leading the pace right now. Just keeping the effort the same till they get back up to it. Once he tells me they're there, I don't lift it too much. I just continue to ride, and then in a little while, pull off the front. I'm looking back. I think he told me they're here. We just want to keep everybody moving instead of stopping on that corner. We ended up doing about 7 hours. Our plan was to do maybe 6 or so, but we got out there, we hooked up with Jerry. It was fun, and we just kept going. We did a little more than we had planned, but you know, not a whole lot. But that's what's on my mind here. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna hold it at sweet spot, and then I'll pull off in a little while. Pull off so somebody else can take the lead. It's somewhere around here. I think off camera, I'm in the back. Mo tells me that he's not gonna stop at Taco Corner. I plan to stop, fill up my bottles. And he said he was going to keep riding and maybe circle back around. He said, but it was a maybe. He may just keep going because he needed to get back. That's why he did the 6:30 ride with him. But it was fun, you know, riding with him on this stretch. It's very enjoyable. So that's where I pull off. But the wind's coming from the right and behind us, somewhat, mostly from the right. And I drift to the back, and that's where that's when he told me that he was going to keep going. We didn't stop very long. We just got fluids and continued. That's Kevin and then Max here in front of the camera. Kevin in front of Max. And Doug is pulling. This is like a 0.7. It's a slight grade. Whenever Victor does that, we don't break our rhythm. We continue to do what we're doing in the paceline. Because he's doing his own thing. At this point, the road's leveling off and then we'll start a descent. It's a nice descent all the way to the light at 105. I think in a few moments I end up going back to the front. After those motorcycles passed, the highway was completely clear behind us. So you're going to see a few of us come around these guys. was trying to give Doug a wheel. He didn't lift his pace at all. I wasn't trying to ride off or anything. I was just riding. And then Scott comes and he's talking about my outfit. He said, "We give you style points for today." I said, "That's the Italian in me." That's what we're talking about right there. The light is probably 200 meters down the hill. We have arrived in Montgomery, Texas. So Mo had already said he wasn't going to stop at the taco corner store. He asked me if I was going to stop, and I told him, yeah, I needed to stop. I needed to get some fluids because we're riding so long. I told him we're going to do about 5 hours. So he said he was going to roll out and probably circle back, but it was a maybe. I think he ended up just finishing the ride. So you hear me tell the guys here that Mo's going to keep going.
Oh my goodness.
He's not gonna stop. He said he may hook up with us. No. We're in the Tri-Lakes area. And the wind is pounding us. This is after we stopped at Taco Corner after doing the forest. We picked up Austin here. Austin rides with WCC as well, and he was there by himself because WCC, Mo rode with us, so he didn't do their regular ride because he wanted to go out early. Austin had flicked his elbow for Paul to take over the pole here, but Austin decided to ride with us, and we're in the Tri-Lakes area here. Parts of this road is being repaired. We're not going to go to that area until they're done. So we're going to head west and go to 1486 because that will take us to Jackson Road, which is nice and smooth. But once they finish the construction in here, this is another nice area with a lot of climbs. We turn through here and the road is a little bumpy. It's kind of chippy, so it's bothering the camera.
Camera's misbehaving.
I let Paul know the camera's misbehaving, the gimbal's being affected by the road.
Don't get Austin on film here. That helmet, man. Yeah.
We met Austin a little over a year ago now. He had a different bike at the time.
Where's that shop located?
He does, I think he does cyclocross as well. The bike he had before he used to use for cyclocross. So it's good to meet him out here. It's nice to have somebody else, a company else on the way. The group was not going as far as I explained in the route. So we were going further than they were, so we ended up, the two of us going through the forest, so it was nice to have some additional company. We ended up coming across Jerry and some of the other guys from WCC on the way back. We had seen them when we're heading south on 149. They went to Richards and took 1486, which is kind of a northwesterly route, which brings them out on this west side on the way back. So we ended up meeting them at the store in Montgomery. So we finished the ride at the end with Jerry off camera. This area is always like this. It doesn't matter what time of the day or week you come here. There's not a whole lot out here. There's a lot of agriculture. People have large estates, so you don't have the volume of traffic you would have in a busy area. It's sparsely populated, so we love coming out here. Hopefully they'll improve some parts of the road. You will see I got them on film as we descend. There's a part of the road that's been washed away and it's all dirt. I pointed out to the guys right there on the right, that's all dirt, so I can stay on the left. And then this wooden bridge has a big lip I didn't want to jump my bike with the camera, so I just stood up. But other than that, it's not that bad. There are other areas that we avoided today because it's under construction.
The camera's getting beat up because gimbal. Because this road's very bumpy.
So once they're done with the construction, we'll spend more time in this area because it's very challenging.
The whole piece of it washed off.
The rain washed the road back there, washed it off. And this road's very narrow. It's like a path. I'm sure you have roads like these in your area. So when you're riding on these kind of roads, even though it's not heavily traveled, try to make it easier for the other road users to get around you where possible. Whenever it's safe, single file, let them get around. It just it increases the camaraderie between all the road users. They appreciate that. And I think it's just considerate. So we have a car behind us here. He's very patient. I don't think he's going far. Or he's just, he's aware that somebody parked on the right here. Usually, that's not the best place to park. I even mentioned that. It's a guy walking his dog on the left. They parked over there, but that's not a good spot. This road's too narrow. Probably should have parked up here and moved more off the road because it's a lot shallower. Where he parked, there was a bit of a dip to the gutter, so he couldn't really move over too much. Paul waved the driver over, but he just sat there. He waited. We're coming up to 1486. And so he stayed behind us until we got on the highway. You will see him go by. He's in a pickup truck. It's very hot right now. It's about 91 Fahrenheit. Let's see, it says 31 C. So yeah, it's in the 90s and it feels warmer. So we had stopped after doing the forest to get additional fluids, and then we rode from the forest to Magnolia, and we stopped there to get more fluids. And after we picked up Jerry, we stopped in the Creekside area at the HEB to get more fluids. So when it's hot, don't hesitate to stop. If you want to avoid stopping, then take more bottles. Stick one in your jersey pocket or something. But don't fall behind on your fluids, because even though it was hot, because we drank adequately, it didn't feel that bad. We actually enjoyed it. And as I mentioned in the route commentary, Paulie Longa ended up leaving his truck at the start and riding home. And it was like 1:30 in the afternoon. Because when you drink enough and you've acclimated to the heat, it's not that bad. You can tolerate it. But he did that because he said he was motivated by Jerry's insistence on getting additional kilometers. Jerry basically passed his house and rode to where we live. And so Paulie Lunga was motivated by that and ended up getting more kilometers. I went home. I was like, enough. Sunday morning I was going to ride with Team RR, but I needed to sleep more. And so I ended up going later in the morning and just doing about maybe 50 kilometers on Sunday. We're going into the teeth of the south wind, which makes it very comfortable, but it slows your speed. I'll take the wind. It really keeps you comfortable. Everybody was mentioning, commenting about Paul's tube. You can see it under his jersey on the left side there. And what he said was he took it out of the box and just put it in the pocket of the bib short, the radio pocket. But what I usually do is I tighten mine, because the way they ship them, they're not tight. And I mentioned that to him. So by tightening mine, it doesn't protrude as much when it's under there, because I have a tube back there as well. But they wrap it a little looser. So Austin is at the front, and I just kind of sit behind him. A few weeks ago, we ran into Austin at the taco corner. He was not well, so he was riding solo to control his effort. So Austin knows how to train. And during this return trip on 1488 off camera, we talked about just, you know, the fact that we're not getting a whole lot of people to come out for some of the WCC rides. There are a lot of people that are in the club, but they don't come to the rides because they're bothered by certain members of the group that are a little picky, I would say. You know, just, you know, that's why I always talk about, you know, keeping the group, as long as everybody's safe, let people do what they want. Don't give people a hard time, because people come out for recreation, and you know, they don't need to be bugged about little rules and nuances and all of that. So it shrinks your group. People don't look forward to coming to a group that has too many rules. Other than safety, the rest of the stuff you can let some things slide, and if they don't follow it, they will pay the price. If they're not drafting properly, they have to work harder. You don't fight over that, but we have a few people that are trying to give instructions when people are going hard in the rotating paceline, all of that, and they're not doing it very well, so they kind of rub people the wrong way. You know, the way you deliver information to people makes a difference, and some people are not doing it very well. So Mo is doing his best to try to grow the group, but others are like unaware that what they may be doing is contrary to his long-term goal. You know, but Mo doesn't bother people. If you're safe, he'll try to give you some tips, and you know, he knows how to deliver stuff. And so that's what we're talking about. So it's like he's doing a lot of work to try to grow the group, but we got a few people that are not even aware of what he's doing and how they're relating to people that are causing people to not show up. So it's almost like you're going against the long-term goal of the group. You know, we want people to come and ride. The more the merrier. And then, because when you have more people, then you can have different speed groups, and everybody will be able to find a group to ride with. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. So in your group, if somebody's safe, leave them be. Let them have their fun. The only thing I frown on is people that are unsafe, because they're putting themselves and everybody else at risk. Everything else is really, you can let it slide, you know. If somebody's not paying attention to how to draft closely and all of that, don't worry about stuff like that. You know, not everybody wants to be as particular, so you have to recognize that. And just be picky about safety, and everything else kind of, you know, relax a little bit and let people have their fun. That's what's happening. And so we talked about it, and Austin said he would mention and to the appropriate people, you know, where applicable, so somebody can chat with them and say, hey, you know, you don't need to be quite so picky on everything. But some people, when they're going hard, you know, they don't want to be thinking about how close they're drafting or so forth and so on. They're trying to hang on. And you have to appreciate that. So that's what the issue is there. So try to make sure that your group continues to have new blood and keep growing your group. Don't just depend on the regulars, because if a few regulars don't show up, the group is smaller. You want to get more people cycling. I think we're coming close to Jackson Road here. Yeah, I'm going to turn left. It was nice having Austin riding with us. He took some good polls. I edited through here for time, because we were riding for quite a while together. And then when we stopped at the store, even though the other guys were there, he's like, oh, I'm going with you guys. I think he liked our pace. And I think it was perfect for what he's trying to do at this time. That's the reason I was talking about growing the group. The bigger your group, you have more choices. At this point, we had already discussed that we're going to stop at the Magnolia store. Because you know, I'm on this ride as it's been all summer. I'm going to 1,000 milliliters of water every hour. That's 2 bottles. That's what my body needs. So don't deprive yourself. Don't try to drink less to make it last necessarily. Just plan to stop. If you guys are watching, those of you who are following the tour, if you notice, they've got neutral support handing out water to the guys. When it's hot, you need more. We're going directly into the south wind. It keeps you nice and cool, but you have to work to make progress. And we had already mentioned to Austin that when we were at the store, hey, you know, we're doing between 18 and 20 miles an hour. That's the goal. You're not going to be doing that on a hill going into the wind. But the idea is that that's what you try to do when the terrain is favorable. You know, you go faster on slight downhills like here. But he kind of knew what we were doing. It just gives him an idea of what the general tempo is. You don't have to do the exact speed, but it helped him realize what we're trying to do. Around here, I think Paul thought the camera was not on or not working. The screen had gone to sleep. It does that after a little while to save the battery power. There's a screen where you can see what it's recording. This is actually a good shot. It's got the camera low. You can see I'm in, like, I think a 19 or a 21 in the back. So he rides up to me in a little bit and he asks if the camera's working.
Is this still recording?
Yes, sir. This is off. You may have run out of film. It's recording, I think.
Is it? Just looks different.
Well, the back is not on. It's recording. The back has gone to sleep. Keep going.
The gimbal had been pounded on in the Trilix area. That road is very chippy. This road is nice and smooth. So the camera basically had an angle and we spun it around. So once I checked it, I just came back and handed it to him.
Doing his job, my brother.
And I told him he's doing his job and came back to the front to resume my pull. But he was just making sure that we're not just carrying it, because sometimes it'll go off without you hearing the warning, because it gives a little beep to let you know that the battery's low or whatever. And sometimes we don't hear it, especially in the wind. So he was just confirming. And all I did was touch the LCD, and there's a blinking red light that kind of lets you know that it's still running. And then I spun it around and I looked at the front, because you can see how much of the SD card is used up. With the settings on the camera, we can record up to probably 2 hours and 40 minutes. We never do that much. I don't want to go through such a lengthy clip. But we probably record about 2 hours, and then, you know, anywhere between 90 minutes to 2 hours. See me downshift. The road starts to go up and the wind's kicking. You will see me downshift again. I do that by feel. I want to be on top of the gear.
This is Jackson Road.
This is what I just told Austin. This was Jackson Road, because we had talked about it. He hadn't been on it in a while, I guess, since they paved it, probably. I think a lot of times when he comes out solo, he probably just goes back on 2854. hadn't been out here in a while. It's nice smooth road. The speed limit here is 55 miles per hour on this road. Don't have too many houses very close. You see mailboxes there, but they're far off. So when there aren't a whole lot of houses very close to the street, the speed's a little higher. You can hear the wind. I welcome the wind because not only does it make you work harder, when it's hot like this, it's 33 C. So we're in the 90s. On my head unit, it said 103 Fahrenheit because, you know, the radiation of the black tarmac makes it even hotter on the road than the actual temperature. All we're doing here, I'm keeping it at sweet spot. Nice workout. I think here Paul is going to have Austin come through.
We're gonna get out.
He moved over a little to the left to let Austin come up on my wheel on the inside since there was a car coming. Car behind us.
Just wanted to get you in the field.
He said something to Austin. I didn't quite catch it on the clip. As I'm riding, I can't really hear that with this. It's very windy. I've got the wind dubbed, but it's stiff, and we expect it. All summer, the wind comes from the southeasterly direction. We rarely get a front. There's been a forecast that is saying that we'll have a day this week that will be 67 for a low. I think one of them 69. I've never seen that the entire time I've lived in the U.S., in Texas, this time of year. So that's unusual. And another thing that's unusual is all summer we've had enough rain to where I have not turned on the sprinkler system for my yard. That's unusual as well. So the weather is changing. There's been a lot of rain this summer. Every afternoon we have rain. It doesn't rain the entire day, where you have pockets of heavy rain. It's rain enough to where we don't have any water rationing or anything going on. Because in the past, June and July, sometimes we'll have 100-degree days in a row, Fahrenheit-wise, to where it just be so dry, like it's a desert. There's a car back there. He's very patient. Paul filmed it. He's waiting to pass. It's safe. I look back and I see him. I'm getting ready to get off the front, but I don't want to get off the front until the car has passed. So when I saw him, I moved back over to the right more. I'm not sure why he's still there. He can pass now. I think this is where he must have passed. I'm expecting him to pass. There's nothing preventing him from passing. The sight lines are clear here. You can see the stripe is broken there. Now it's preventing passing here because we're going up a climb. Because visibility is hampered when the road goes up. I shifted down one cog to keep my cadence respectable. You gotta learn to ride like that and not just worry about what speed you're doing. There, he's passed. So then I move over. I think this is where I move over. Unless there's another car. I think there's another. Now I move over. So Austin asks where we're gonna turn, and I told him it's just gonna go straight to 149. He's not as familiar with this route, this piece of the route. And if you notice, when he was coming to the front, that's when he asked me, what's the next turn? So you should do the same thing. If you're not familiar with the route and it's your turn to pull, ask someone or ask the person at the front, where's our next turn? You don't have to be coming through the pull to do that, but always try to get an idea of where the group will be turning, so at least you know what's coming. That's why he asked. I took the camera from Paul so I could film them. Got on a trike. Everybody's out enjoying their life. That's what it's about. You know, you work all week. Go out and have some fun on the weekend. Everybody's out and about. The weather's beautiful, even though it's hot. So if you hydrate enough, you can enjoy the summers here. Look at this road. Look at all the shade. I ended up mentioning that. There you go.
This is great. We're riding in the shade.
Look at the shade from the trees. Beautiful. And that's why we use this route in the summer. Because in the winter, it's cold on this road. The very trees, they clean the air and they keep it cool. In fact, in the morning on this ride, there were certain stretches in the forest where the air felt like you would get in the winter as we would be descending. It was nice and cool in certain spots. So even though the temperature's up, the route we're on got some nice cool spots. So we have very beautiful weather. I wear sunblock when I ride because if I don't, my skin gets blotchy. I get light spots. The sun bothers my skin. I have some on my head as well. So I always put on sunblock when I head out. You know, my legs still get a shade darker than the rest of my skin, but at least that protection goes a long way because we have a lot of UV exposure here. This place is hotter than even in West Africa where I grew up. The earth tilts towards the sun in the summer here. We have more exposure in Houston than where I used to live when I was a kid. So I had to realize that and protect my skin when I'm out there. So it was nice to have Austin join us. So we had 3 people to work together. And as I mentioned before, between 3 to 5, you get a great workout. So have more time at the back. So all of us took longer pulls. Austin's been there for a while. Paulie Longa will take over. He'll sit there for a while as well. You don't need a big group to have a nice ride. Get 1 or 2 mates, you're good to go. And if nobody's available, you're a group of 1. Head out. That's why the bicycle has 1 saddle. I think Austin's pulling off. He's done. So Paulie Longa takes over and proceeds to drive us on towards 149. So we're doing about 20 miles an hour, between 18 to 20 into the wind on the flats, speed-wise. That's not a metric to train by because it's going to vary. But the bottom line is, it's a little below sweet spot for me. You know, it's probably endurance, I would say. Endurance are a little higher. So zone 2, zone 3. So if we're riding zone 2 at this pace, when it's time to pick it up, your body will be ready if you do this for hours on end. So this is what we did on Saturday. I hope you all got a chance to get some K's in. If you didn't, keep your body moving, get on a trainer, go for a walk. Keep those doctors fired. I want to thank all our patrons, our super chatters, and other supporters. You make this possible.